In the 12th century BCE, the land of Israel is shrouded in darkness, a kingdom strangled by sin and the iron grip of foreign oppressors. Ruined temples stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten covenant. Their stones are stained with the tears of the faithful. In the silence of the night, a desperate cry pierced the air, rising like smoke from a dying fire. Amidst this sadness, a lone figure appears. Elior, a despised and outcast man, his heart weighed down by the burden of isolation. Abandoned by his own people, he wandered the barren hills. His soul struggled with a purpose he could not grasp. Beneath the gnarled olive tree, Elior's mother, her eyes tired but fierce, clasped his trembling hands. "You are God's promise," she whispered, her voice a fragile thread of hope, born for a greater purpose than this pain of Elior. "Why me, mother? Why did God choose a wretch like me? I'm not strong enough." That night, as the stars hid behind a curtain of clouds, an image shattered his fitful sleep. A radiant angel stood before him, its presence a blazing fire. "Elior," it proclaimed, "you are called to save my people. I chose you before you were born." Fear gripped him, his breathing shallow. "I can't," he stammered. "I'm not the savior. You chose wrong." Yet the angel's eyes burned with unwavering certainty, lighting a fire of courage within him. Dawn broke, and Elior stood at the edge of his village, broken but resolute. He whispered an oath to the heavens, accepting the path set before him. A voice echoed on the wind, and from that moment, everything changed. The journey had begun, but the path ahead was a crucible of fire and faith. Elior, the reluctant savior chosen by God, stood at the edge of a scorched valley, his tattered robes whipping in the dry, unrelenting wind. The air was thick with the stench of despair, a bitter reminder of the foreign oppressors who had crushed Israel under their iron boots for generations. Villages lay in ruins, their people scattered like ash, and the once holy altars were defiled with the blood of the innocent. A voiceover echoed through the desolation, heavy with the weight of destiny. In the shadow of tyranny, one man stood against the tide, but the battle was never his alone. Elior's heart pounded as he descended into the valley, his staff trembling in his grip. Before him loomed the enemy's stronghold, a fortress of jagged stone, its walls adorned with the banners of a cruel empire, their crimson sigils fluttering like vultures, circling a dying beast. At the gates stood General Kale, a towering warlord clad in black armor that gleamed like the scales of a serpent. His voice boomed across the barren expanse, a chilling promise of annihilation. "We will crush you, chosen fool," he bellowed, his laughter a blade of ice. "No god can save you from the might of our empire. Your people will be dust beneath our heels." Elior's knees buckled under the weight of those words, but he clenched his jaw, his faith a flickering flame in a storm. He raised his staff, his voice calm despite the fear clawing at his chest. "I do not fight alone," he declared, his words ringing with defiance. "The Lord of hosts will wage this battle. Your empire will fall, for his hand is mightier than your sword." The enemy roared in derision, their spears flashing with malevolent intent. But Elior stood firm, his faith a shield against their contempt. Yet the ordeal had only just begun. begun. As he rallied the remnants of Israel, fewer than 100 men, their faces gaunt with hunger and fear, whispers of betrayal crept through the ranks. A trusted ally, Judah, had sold their plans to the enemy for a sack of silver, his greed a dagger in Elior's back. The betrayal stung like a whip, and the broken men turned against him. "You have led us to our deaths," they cried, their voices a cacophony of anger and despair. "We trusted you, and now we are doomed." As if the sky itself reflected their anguish, a storm descended upon the valley. The sky turned black, a raging abyss churned, and torrential rain lashed the earth, turning it into a sea of mud. Lightning tore through the darkness, illuminating the disillusioned faces of the survivors, while a howling wind uprooted the remaining trees, their roots snapping like brittle bones. Elior's faith wavered, his heart a battlefield of doubt and despair. "Lord, have you forsaken us?" he whispered, his voice swallowed by the storm. But amid the chaos, a miracle stirred. The wind, once a relentless force, began to howl with a different rhythm, a divine resonance that seemed to echo the voice of God himself. A blinding flash of light pierced the storm, and the sky parted to reveal a heavenly warrior, an angel dressed in radiant white, his wings sparkling with the brilliance of 1,000 stars. The angel's voice echoed over the storm, a declaration of divine power. "Fear not, for the Lord is with you." As these words rang out, the storm obeyed an invisible command. The wind died, the rain ceased, and the sun, unbelievably, stopped in the sky, bathing the valley in a brilliant golden light. The enemy army froze, faces pale with fear, as lightning rods danced around them, a divine warning of judgment. Elior's spirit soared, his faith rekindled like a flame in the dark. The battle was far from over. The enemy, shaken but unyielding, charged with renewed fury, their war cries a deafening tide. Elior led his small band into the fray, their makeshift weapons no match for the enemy's steel. Blood stained the earth. One by one, his warriors fell. Elior fought with the strength of a man possessed, but exhaustion and grief brought him to his knees. He collapsed amidst the carnage, his hands slick with blood and mud, his body racked with sobs. Tears streamed down his face as he clutched the earth, his voice a broken plea. "Lord, I cannot do this," he cried, his anguish raw and unfiltered. "I am too weak, too broken. If you do not act, we are lost." The heavens seemed to hold their breath, the silence a heavy shroud. Then a soft warmth enveloped him, a whisper of divine presence that lifted the weight from his soul. The voiceover returned, its tone a blend of sorrow and hope. "In the darkest hour, when all seemed lost, the light of faith burned brightest." Elior rose, his eyes blazing with renewed purpose, as the people, inspired by his unwavering resolve, began to rally. From the scattered remnants of the villages, men, women, and children emerged, their faces alight with a fire that no oppressor could extinguish. They lifted their voices in a unified chant, a song of deliverance that echoed through the valley, their makeshift weapons raised high. The enemy faltered, their iron grip weakening as the tide turned. The spark of hope had ignited a blaze, and the people of Israel, united by faith, surged forward with a strength not their own. Elior stood at their forefront, his staff a beacon of divine authority, his heart a furnace of belief. battle was no longer a mere clash of swords. It was a testament to the power of the Almighty, a turning point that would be whispered through the ages. The voiceover swelled with triumph. And in that moment, the flame of hope became a wildfire, unstoppable, unyielding, a light to guide them through the darkness. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, victory seemed within reach. Elior stood at the precipice of the enemy's final stronghold, the air thick with the stench of blood and smoke. The fortress loomed like a beast, its gates a maw of death, but his resolve was unbreakable. With a trembling breath, he stepped into the heart of danger, his staff glowing faintly with divine light. The enemy swarmed, their blades flashing like lightning, and Elior fought with the ferocity of a man who knew this was his last stand. Blood seeped from his wounds, staining the earth, and as a spear pierced his side, he fell to his knees, his voice rising in a final desperate prayer. Lord, take my soul and deliver your people. The heavens answered. A pillar of blazing fire descended, shattering the walls, and the enemy scattered in terror, their cries drowned out by the roar of divine wrath. The earth shook, and a brilliant light enveloped the land, freeing the bound Israelites, their chains melting like wax. The people wept with joy, their salvation a miracle born of sacrifice. Elior, breathing heavily, called out to his young disciple, Caleb, who knelt beside him, tears streaming down his face. Now, you must carry out this task, Elior whispered, his voice a fading echo. Never forget what God has done for our nation. His hands fell to his sides, his eyes closed as his spirit ascended. The voiceover swelled, resonant with reverence. One man stood tall, one life used by God, and that faith will never fade. The camera panned across the liberated land where the people rebuilt, their faces alight with hope, their songs of praise rising to the heavens, a testament to Elior's eternal legacy.